You know, artificial intelligence is already in your phone, it's in your car, but what happens when it's in the exam room with your doctor? The potential to completely change medicine is, well, it's enormous, but so are the questions. So today we're going to dive in and try to understand if AI is a doctor's best new tool, or maybe a new kind of threat.
All right, let's just jump right into the big debate, the one that's on everyone's mind. For years, this whole conversation has been framed like a big showdown, right? Man versus machine, human expertise versus cold, hard machine intelligence.
And it all really boils down to this one kind of scary question. It's what we all think about when we hear about AI's latest trick. Is the human doctor about to become a thing of the past?
And look, this isn't science fiction anymore. When you see that large language models, LLMs, are passing these incredibly difficult exams, like the US medical licensing exam, and even getting high scores on things like radiology exams, well, the question stops being some what-if scenario and starts feeling very, very real.
But here's where the story takes a turn. As the tech gets smarter, a lot of experts are starting to reframe this whole debate. It's not really about replacement anymore. It's about creating a powerful new kind of partnership that can make medicine way better for all of us.
And this quote it nails it. It signals this huge shift in thinking. The real threat isn't the AI itself. It's being left behind because you didn't adapt. In this future, the best doctors will be the ones who can use AI to make their own skills even better.
And get this, it turns out doctors are actually pretty on board with this idea. A report from the Royal College of Physicians shows that if you add it up, a solid 70% of physicians are either somewhat or very supportive of using these tools. So the will is there, the desire is there, but what about the reality on the ground?
Well, that's where we hit a massive roadblock. The very same report delivers this big dose of reality. Doctors might be ready, but the system isn't. A staggering 68%, that's more than 2/3, believe the basic digital infrastructure you need for these advanced tools just isn't there. It's this huge gap between what we want to do and what we can actually do.
Okay, so to really get how this partnership could actually work in a real doctor's office, we need to get into the nitty-gritty. See, it's not enough for an AI to just spit out an answer. The quality of that answer and whether we can trust it depends on this really important difference between two types of AI insight.
So on one side, you've got AI explainability. This is the technical stuff. It's the AI showing its work. You know, the lines of code, the data pathways, the how. But on the other side, you have AI reasoning. And this is the game changer. This is the why. It's a justification that actually makes sense for a doctor and a patient in a real clinical situation.
And what's really cool is how this table breaks it all down. Just look at the audience row. That technical explainability, that's for the developers, the regulators. But the AI reasoning, that's for the people who matter most in that room, the doctor and the patient. It completely shifts the goal from just checking a box to actually having a meaningful conversation.
And that right there is the heart of it all. Just showing the math behind a diagnosis doesn't build trust. For a patient and a doctor to actually make a decision together, they need a clear story that makes sense. They need the why.
But this, of course, brings us to the toughest challenge of all. Because even with perfect reasoning, these AI systems are going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. So, what happens when that advice is wrong and a patient gets hurt?
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's the one keeping lawyers and ethicists up at night. When an algorithm contributes to a bad outcome, who's to blame? Where does the buck stop? And believe me, the answer is incredibly complicated.
I mean, the blame could land in a few different places. Does it lie with the doctor who decided to follow the AI's advice? What about the hospital that bought and installed the system? Or does it go all the way back to the company that actually built the AI? Right now, those lines are super blurry. And this whole legal mess is made even worse by this little quirk of human psychology called automation bias. It's our natural tendency to just trust the computer, to assume its answer is more objective or more correct than our own gut feeling, even when something feels off. Now imagine you're a doctor. The pressure to just go along with what the AI says must be immense.
Okay, so with all these challenges, from bad infrastructure to legal gray areas, how do we actually build this collaborative future we're talking about? Well, the sources actually point towards a pretty clear, even if it's difficult, path forward. And it's based on a totally new model of care.
This image just illustrates the end goal perfectly. It's called a triadic partnership. The old doctor-patient relationship gets an upgrade. The AI isn't just some tool the doctor uses in the background anymore. It becomes a third voice in the room, offering its own insights to help create a richer, more informed conversation for everyone.
But making that a reality, well, that takes deliberate action. There's a roadmap. First, you have to invest in that solid digital infrastructure we talked about. Next, you have to train the entire healthcare workforce not just to use AI, but to understand its limits. After that, you need clear rules of the road. That's the regulation and governance. And maybe the most important step of all, you have to design these tools with the clinicians and patients who will be relying on them every single day.
So, this brings us to a final question. And this one isn't for the experts, it's for all of us. The technology is here. A vision for a collaborative future is starting to take shape. The real question now is, are we, as patients, ready to welcome a third member into the exam room? Are we ready for a three-way conversation with our doctor and an AI? It's definitely something to think about.